Like,
even before that, like when we did the test episode with Glenn, and we put the camera on that side of the table so it'd be facing this way, so we could virtual rail fan while that was there, and we're like trying to turn around and look at the camera, and I was just like, we got to figure something out, man. Anyways, welcome to the Railroads Rock Show. Tonight, we have a special guest in studio, in garage with us. My name's Timmy D. That is Mr.
Engineer Evan.
And behind us is Scalkee, or Mr. Jon Marescalco, and you're watching the Railroads Rock Show. And I already said that, so let's highball.
Boom.
All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about a couple things, but most importantly, these two, how they met. They're not dating or anything. At least I don't think so. Is there something I don't know?
No.
All right, so anyways, but Mr. Marescalco's all the way from Chicago, Chirac, Chi-Town. And
right.
He brought two really cool models here for us to take a look at on the old Timmy D diorama. Let's go, John. Talk us through it.
Well, so talking with Timmy and Evan, and Timmy wanted to bring a couple models that I have, and being a Santa Fe modeler like these guys are, and a lot of my stuff mirrors what they have, so I had to think, kind of looking at Evan's Instagram, obviously, and Timmy, Railroads Rock here, to see what they had and what I might have that's something different, and I found a couple things I think that they don't have. Or
so let's talk about them.
Right.
What is this?
That's a GP50, and
from
Santa Fe, Athearn Genesis, and it's in the Kodachrome paint scheme, and then the F45 is also Athearn Genesis in a Kodachrome paint scheme. The reason I kept them, they're a little bit out of my era from being 90 to the merger, but the F45 I just kept because I have an affinity for cowl units, so I wanted to keep that one.
Yeah, I like them wide body units too. You know what I mean?
Right.
More junk in the trunk. What about this unit though? Is because does anybody else do Kodachrome in this cowl body style?
I don't think so.
No,
not just Genesis.
Very
right?
unique.
Yeah, just Genesis, and then I mean, there were years ago when it was Athearn Blue Box. Yes, they did have a Kodachrome, I think, in the cowl unit. I'd have to look, but I can't remember.
Oh yeah, they did. Did. I remember back in the 90s when they started doing all the random paint schemes. They started putting the Union Pacific on the tunnel motors, and these have been. If you look at the early blue boxes, they had the SP. I don't think they ever did an SPSF one, but they did. The tunnel motors had a Kodachrome paint scheme.
Yeah.
The I had an SD40. The club had an SD40-2 in Kodachrome.
I think all three of us can admit that this is a really nice, sharp paint scheme because we're Santa Fe guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If we were SP guys, we're like, I don't like this. It's because it's a very heavy Santa Fe paint scheme. It's
right.
The logo, the bonnet here, the whole 9 yards.
Where did the lettering come from, though? Because that's not Santa Fe. The SF is that's not even Southern Pacific
it's not
either.
SP, yeah.
And SP, you ever notice that Santa Fe and SP's lettering style is very much alike? I mean, Santa Fe was just really big, and Southern Pacific's was small, but it was still that font very much.
I think
the same.
I think it might have been created just for SPSF in the merger, but the idea was when the SP and the Santa Fe were wanting to merge, or the railroads actually merged, but they were waiting for the government to give them the okay. They started painting these up. That's where they got the nickname "Shouldn't Paint So Fast."
Yeah.
But the reason that the lettering was offset was because they would fill in the SP later. That's why that offset, and even on the nose, you'll see like the space in there because it would fill in when the government. I forgot who it was. It was the
ICC.
Yeah, the ICC. Would
First of all, if you look at any SP unit painted in Kodachrome, the SP is to the left, Santa Fe to the right. This is stuff we all know. But to you young blood modelers out there that they're like, I wonder why it sits like that. It's like, well, because in full it was supposed to say SPSF.
Correct.
And I'd like to point out there's a guy on Instagram who has a completely fictitious SPSF railroad. You can look him up. And he's taken his due diligence and painted them all SPSF.
Like even Max and stuff like that?
He has some fictitious engines too. But
cool as shit.
It is really cool.
He might even have these.
He probably does. He has a couple engines that have some like the yellow is. I think Athearn did the yellow really nice on these.
Yeah.
Like the Broadway Limited ones are just like. this isn't right.
Because it looked like the old Athearn yellow looked kind of neon, and then when they started redoing this Kodachrome scheme, it's like they actually did that due diligence and photo matched it, or at least color matched it.
So
I don't know.
The Santa Fe didn't have too many of these that hung around up till the merger. I know SP had a handful. I remember my dad filming at Tunnel 10 in Tehachapi a very, in his words, hodgepodge. Right? It had like an EMD SD7DM demo, the Burgundy, had a UP engine with doors open, and then it had, I think it was like a C30-7 painted in this SP, of course, looking really run down. Would have been about 1997, like right at the very end of some of these Locomotives lives.
Beaumont was the first time I saw a Kodachrome, and it was a tunnel motor.
Really?
Yeah, and that was, and I want to say it was a Boy Scout camp out, and we were doing San Gorgonio Peak. We were hiking Gorgonio Peak, so we stopped at someplace right there on the highway, and I'm just seeing a cut of engines go by, and holy shit, there's a fucking, like, you're like, what
always
early model
it
railroader
always broke
Timmy.
up that monotonous scarlet, gray, and red.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, you're like, oh, every engine looks the same.
And it wasn't even scarlet, gray, and red. It was more like dirty grime, whatever.
Burned up engine. Yeah.
Burned up broken engines and some sort of, I think that's red. I think, maybe.
But it even, to add to Evan, it even broke it up like in the 90s when SP went to the speed lettering. It even broke that paint scheme up, and that was a cool scheme. But one thing I can add to this before I give it back to you, Timmy, if you want me to talk more or not, but this 3828 was the only Jeep 50 that they painted in the Kodachrome scheme.
Yeah, most of the other ones were, 38-2s and Jeep 35s.
I believe so.
And then
SD45s.
SD45s and 40-2s.
Yeah. Yep, and this was the only, that's why I kept it, because it was kind of unique to that. And there's a book that I have, 1988 Motor Power Pictorial by Joseph Shine, and that it showed a train in there. It was being led by, it was this exact same consist. It had the Jeep 50, the only one painted, and then this F45 in there.
I like stuff like that. Like the 2099, the Jeep 38-2 in BNSF colors had the silver bottom. Is H1, but it was painted like an H1-9. So even though you see all these other Jeep 38-2s that are in H1, but the bottom line is still that forest green, or what is the green? Great Northern Green. They would do the Great Northern Green on the fuel tank and on the trucks, but on 2099 it's all silver. Even the fuel tank is silver.
Is it Hunter Green or Cascade Green?
No, Cascade Green is BN.
BN. Okay.
But that Great Northern Green, whatever it is, Hunt Club Green.
Yeah.
That's what I used to use, the old Rust-Oleum Hunt Club Green to redo the base. What am I thinking of? The chassis on some of the old Athearn blue boxes when they first came out with it. The blue boxes, there were some that were early on in the production where only the trucks were green, and yet the chassis was black, and so you'd have to go back and paint it. Ta-da! Are we still running on the camera?
Yeah.
Good.
But
Anyways,
that's a little story about why I brought these.
Yeah,
So I hope
it's
it was
unique.
I hope it was something different that you guys may or may not have had on the podcast.
Well, we've never had Kodachrome. I don't think we've even talked about having Kodachrome.
sounds like a
on here.
drug.
I know. Yeah.
Yo,
It
Doug,
does, yeah, it does.
you ever done Kodachrome?
Yeah, it does.
Yo, you got to try this shit. We got Purple Urkel or we got Kodachrome.
You
Which
gotta
one are you going to be doing?
You gotta have the disclaimer though. Talk to your doctor, and side effects may include a whole litany of.
Yeah, blue balls, red balls, sweaty balls, green balls.
Right. Kodachrome gives you all the above.
You may get heart palpitations.
You might see lights.
Yeah,
like random
might see lights, sweaty farts, green farts, red farts. What?
Right.
Runny stool, stiff stool.
Some of us may already suffer from that after a lot of IPA or pizza.
Yeah. Careful.
Anyways, but the point being to the story was I'm relating to the fact that this was a very unique unit, much like 2099. Even though that the paint scheme ran across the whole system, much like BNSF when they were trying to discover the paint scheme, they did a bunch of H1 units, but that one unit, the 2099, to me, I had, which I think we talked about this on air one time, where I uniquely bought a blue box unit because they never did another run of it. I don't know if they did any ready to roll stuff. They probably did in one random run, but that was such a unique unit to buy that they did in blue box. Was the silver chassis, the silver trucks, and then H1 scheme on a Jeep, randomly a Jeep 38-2.
Right.
You're like, what?
Right.
And this one has model railroaders and fellow podcasters. This one they're both equipped with soundtracks decoders. This one has a Tsunami 2, and this one has a non-sound decoder.
And if you take the body off, a bunch of condoms fall out. All right. So, anyways,
Possibly.
one of the fun things, though, I love telling railroad stories on the podcast. We don't get to do enough of it. A lot of them, when you're just doing rail fanning stories. But I've got 2 engineers here, and these guys met working for Amtrak. And funny enough, I want you guys to tell the story about how that came about. Like, okay, well, we got Scalkee here. And Mr. Gerdes and Chi-Town meeting, as you were, gentlemen. Please tell it.
Yeah, so I bid into Chicago in 2019, and Zone 4 protects the Chicago yard and the 350 and 360 trains to Battle Creek, Michigan. And so when I finally got my CN and Norfolk Southern rules test out of the way, they put me with John qualifying to Battle Creek. And so we would have Chargers going to Battle Creek, and we'd always have problems with them. We'd always be an hour late, and then we'd get on the P42 on train 353. We'd be on time the whole way back to Chicago. It's like,
surprise!
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun to share a cab with a guy like him who's very educated in both model railroading and railroading in general.
What was the initial story, though? What was that first, like, I'm walking onto a train engine with this tard muffin, and then this guy's going like, I have to work with this tard muffin.
I guess I didn't know what to expect because I'd never met him before. It was just like, oh yeah, start with John at 6:16 a.m. and at the GB office.
Yeah, we signed up at that. I think it was 6:20. They kept pushing. Now it's 6:30, but I think it was 6:20 a.m. I was on 350, 353 that time.
Yes.
That job had a 3-day weekend. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off every week.
It was great. It was 4 on 3 off.
Yeah.
But
no, it was it was a 3-day weekend every week.
Yeah. So
you can tell these guys are engineers because these little girls don't even know how to tell a story.
I know.
How'd you guys first meet?
You're discussing
the days off
Yeah,
instead of
right.
discussing
Well, you know how much time you're out on the railroad, man.
the first time you guys get. And here I go, and this guy walks up and I'm like, John, can you tell me the story of the first time you met this tard? Jeez.
He walked.
No, Evan, you lost your privileges. Thank you.
He came into the GB office and just introduced himself. I didn't know who. I just heard.
What was that first run like?
Heard word of mouth that.
Did you run with him on the first run?
I wasn't allowed to.
No,
run for
he
a
was
while.
observing and taking some notes in the route.
Okay, so you were sitting next to him.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Yeah.
So you're sitting next to this dude, and he's like obviously telling you stories of what you need to he's training you.
Yeah.
And so, give me a goddamn story for the love of Christ.
Well, so let me talk.
You guys are just talking about your days off.
So I will say.
Let me talk. You have been talking, and all you're telling me is about your days off.
Well, so what I noticed right out of the gate was that John is inherently funny, and the way he tells stories are unlike anyone else I've ever met. So I was just kind of like, first of all, I hate waking up early. So then he's entertaining as hell. So we're rolling along and just like, holy shit. But I think one of the first times I was running, we were somewhere down by I can't even remember the names now. 488, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I hit a deer.
Yeah.
But he didn't see it. So I hear boom. He's like, holy shit, what the hell? I was like, oh no, it's all cool. We just smoked Bambi. Then we get to New Buffalo.
Yeah.
Get on down. You're like, holy shit, man, this thing is covered in guts and this.
Yeah.
And that. We were talking about hitting deer after that.
You're pulling up to the station, and guts are still dripping off.
Yeah.
Was it cab car forward or was it engine?
No, it was engine. It was
They don't have the cab cars over there anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway, was there any splatter on the window, or is it just we killed Bambi and there's guts just dripping from the plow?
It was bad.
Yeah,
real
of course.
Juicy. Yeah. Because we're like, did we hit a deer?
Yeah.
I think I saw a deer. You don't know. It's one of those things. You're going so fast.
Yeah.
No, but one story that stands out in my mind. We're on 353, and we got this locomotive, and it's hunting really bad, right? So.
What does that mean?
That means we're jerking back and forth. So out in Michigan, we go 110 miles an hour. Now, normally, it was right around 100 miles an hour. The jerking was getting really bad, bang, 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 bang. So I'm like, hey, Johnny.
We're still talking about trains, right?
We're still talking about trains.
Okay.
I was like, hey, Johnny, are we going to slow down? What are we going to do? He's like, oh, hell no. We're going 110. I got places to be. We're at 110.
I did, too.
I'm like, you're right on the cusp there of well, I hope nothing goes wrong because we're going to fly off the track at this point.
Yeah. What was the main line that you guys were on, though?
From Chicago, you get on the NS. It's the old Conrail Chicago line. And then we turn over at 42, Porter, Indiana, and then we're on the Michigan line. So it's Amtrak going, and then the state.
Gotta be honest, man. We were gonna buy you a Conrail car today from Reed's.
Oh, stop.
No. We were.
No.
Well, Timmy was. I might have talked out of it. So I'm like, Evan doesn't want this shit.
So,
sorry.
We were up in the you fucking cuss, man. It's okay. I'll just figure out a way to not get flagged. We'll bleep some of these out.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're walking through Reed's, and it's the cheap box, and it's those crappy Bachmann 4-bay hoppers. Like from the old box sets, like an old Lifelike.
Where
something.
The blue was really like.
But it was the can opener. Like you never saw that.
Yeah.
Normally it would just say Conrail by itself. If you look at some of the old train sets you would get, like I was telling you about the Diesel Hustler, and this one said Conrail with the can opener logo on the side. I was like,
but it was real big, like it went across the whole car.
But it didn't matter because it was still it's what my boy Evan likes.
Right.
And so, anyways, I was like, even if you don't end up running it, we could put some McHenry couplers on it and a couple metal wheel sets and just put on a diorama and say, hey, we love you, bro. And then John was like, no, we're not getting him this piece of crap. And then you tried to get him a book, and I was like, Evan doesn't read. So there we go.
You both talked yourself out to get me anything. Thanks,
that's
guys.
not true.
No,
I got you a freaking 12-pack of beer.
He got you the beer.
Yeah.
We were thinking.
I was like, let's get him something that he's going to give a shit about.
I was trying
beer.
I was trying to rationalize, Evan wouldn't like this cheap hopper, but maybe he would have. I don't know. But one thing that I remember with Evan, and I think he might be able to say Timmy too. I think I peppered him more with questions about out here.
Yeah.
Like working out of LA and stuff and working out of Sacramento. I think that's where you came from at that time was Northern.
Yeah, Oakland.
And I think Oakland. I think I peppered him with a bunch of questions about California running.
Must have been a spicy soup because if he peppered you with as many questions as he got out of me from when we took the drive from the airport back to here, there was a lot of questions. This is that. He said, what about this? Right. I love it, dude. I love it. I gravitate toward shit like that. I'd rather have somebody ask me questions and me respond and them actually be listening to ask me more questions.
I just remember having a good time with Evan.
Anyways, you plowed through a deer, though. Anything else?
The snow. Evan had to learn the snow running at 110.
But I didn't learn it with Johnny, though. So we worked together, 2 months?
I don't remember. It seemed...
Well, I spent a whole month in the fireman's seat because
that's
road foreman wouldn't give me the test. And then I spent about a month and a half running with you, and then I went with the other crew. And we also didn't get snow.
Oh, that's right.
We should speak to this story. This is actually a pretty legendary story. So the first time on my qualifying run, and it snowed. I'd never run in the snow. I didn't know you had to have snow air spots instead of using summertime air spots. I didn't know it took almost 10 miles to bring the train down from 110 to 0 in the snow. I'm with the road foreman. We're setting air for Niles. I use my summertime air spot. I think it's coming down. I meet my 90 marker. Everything's fine. I passed my 70 marker at 83, and I knew I lost it. And we flew off the platform at Niles. People are right there, about to get on the train, oh, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Gone. And it's downhill coming into Niles going west.
Oh, okay.
So we're going down. And
you go to a curve, too, a little bit,
down the bridge, up the bridge. It was just one of the most embarrassing moments of my career. On a check ride with the manager right there. So we had to back up. It was a whole to-do. Anyways, they forced me to stay more recurrent training for 3 more weeks to get snow time, and it never snowed once. So I had to teach myself when I finally marked up in the snow, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, and that. But
and teach
global warming, bro.
And helping Evan with the Dowagiac stop, which is about as long as this table here we're at. It's the station platform is long enough siding, but the main line has a little pad you got to hit.
Yeah, you guys have run the same route then.
Oh yeah.
So what is on the same route that you guys ran? What was one of the areas that you just every time you always had to be mindful? Maybe it was oh, dude, pedestrians never pay attention.
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo.
Yeah. So Kalamazoo, because there's a lot of crossings, a lot of trespassers, homeless and stuff. I'd say for a skills stops, Dowagiac is the most difficult stop I've ever had to make. Going 110 to 0 for a platform that's the size of this table. You had to have it down.
There's 3 people on this platform, and Amtrak kept it open.
Well, the problem was
you got to make that extra $20, man. $20 is $20.
The station is on the siding side, not the main track
side.
side.
The original idea was they were supposed to have you go through the siding to make the station stop, and they still will if you have ADA because the wheelchair lift's easy. But I'll digress. But what happens is that they found out, like, if you hold the main, the siding slows you down to 45. So they were worried about losing too much time.
Yeah. So you're going 110 to 45
right.
for what, mile and a half? And
Correct. From one milepost 180 to 178 is the siding. So the station stop on the siding obviously is a lot easier to make. You're slower, but it's a longer platform. So they hold you on the main if you don't have ADA, like a wheelchair, somebody needs a mobility assist. You just hold the main, make the platform.
But
there.
how many cars are you rolling with though on that?
Well,
4 or 5?
No, 365 can have up to 7 during the holiday. Thanksgiving they put a 7th car on, and then 5 usually. Yeah, because the CN you got to have a certain amount of axle count. Yeah. CN still enforces that.
But anyway, the point being is like it's one of those stops that if any little thing goes wrong, you stop like wheel slip or ice breaks, you'll just pass it. You just can't stop.
Yeah.
So you try to.
And New Buffalo as well, because that's down in a hill in a bowl. So you'll slide into that stop too if you're not.
So when
careful.
somebody says it's in a bowl, then that would be kind of like in a sink spot. Like what is it? Like on a curve?
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you're
I'm saying for people that are listening
Sure,
here, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. When you're
but
going,
I mean, it's like,
when you're going eastbound into New Buffalo, you enter a curve and then you go downhill and the station stops like kind of in the bottom of it. But when you go west, you're coming from a curve too.
I just remember hearing some of the older fellas at the club, and you pick up the lingo as you go in not only in the hobby but rail fanning and all this stuff. But a lot of people that, I mean, even people that are really into the hobby or really into rail fanning, they don't catch the lingo from engineers. That's why I think they engineer foam so much, is because they want to be around you guys and hear you say some of this lingo, because that's very behind the doors kind of stuff. Like when you talk to a fighter pilot in the Navy and they start mentioning, like there I was, I was landing on the deck of the Nimitz and I was coming in off the meatball, and all of a sudden they lost the meatball, but I was still bringing it in because my HUD was still active, and I brought her down, I third cabled it, and people are like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's like the one time
it sounds like freaking Spanish to a single English speaker,
I walked into a yard job in Oakland. I'm like, did you guys grab the dope? And the trainman looked at me like, what? I'm like, the yard list, the paperwork, the dope. Like, what? We don't use illegal narcotics in Oakland. It's like, okay, God. Like,
did you guys grab that bag of Kodachrome? Did anybody get that bag of Kodachrome that we're gonna smoke later?
Yeah.
Some terms, like I think you might have said a couple qualifying, Evan, maybe didn't jive with what I know as terms to be out there,
Well, so nobody says mosey out here.
No.
They take it ahead easy. Out in Chicago they say mosey, and so that means take it easy.
Yeah.
So when I'd be like,
go
I'd be out
ahead
here,
and strut.
I'd be like, okay. When I was furloughed working, I'm like, okay, mosey. And people are like, what? What are you talking about? There's no dog out here.
Right. Well, and another thing, remember the hand signs in Chicago too? They're like really little. And
yeah. This, like, take it away, or let's tie up. Yeah.
As opposed to like everybody is just like really big.
So,
I noticed big hand signs out here. So really big.
Chicago,
that's a Western thing. Yeah.
Chicago is this perfect blend of east and west, and it literally, if you look the Amtrak Chicago sub, if you're going west, this is how they do it west way. If you're going east, they do it east way. Rule books, everything, like signals. So it's like stepping on this side of the carpet and we're on this side. Like, but the Chicago Yard specifically, it says it's kind of a blend of both. So so we're doing
because you're getting
East
a lot
Coast
of West Coast
so
trains
instead of
coming
going,
in.
Go away from me, they just go like this.
Yeah.
They use, if you look like in a rule book and you see the night hand signs with a lantern, they use those during the day, but they're not actually holding a lantern light.
They're just kind of like.
And what's crazy was
right. Well, no, I mean like Evan said, like take it away. They'll go like this, but that if you're holding a lantern, that would make more sense. But during hand signs, it was mostly like this to go away from you.
Mm.
Yeah. So they would say on G-Core, they'd say that is correct.
So like if you see a car in Chicago that says "Do not hump," does it mean the same thing?
Oh yeah, that's you're talking about like yard and setting down a hump. Yes.
I had to do it.
I know.
Man.
I was.
I had to. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My bad.
I was gonna say like you don't say Raj or Roger on G-Core, but as soon as you cross 21st Street, you're on from a G-Core railroad to a railroad that does say that. So if I'm like all right, if you say okay, that's correct, and dispatcher's like, what did you say? Raj. Okay.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Copy that. Copy that.
I was so foreign to me, and then I got used to saying it. I came back out here and I started saying, I'm like, oh, man, Because I like saying it like Raj.
Right.
Yeah, Raj.
Scalkee.
Right.
Yeah.
Raj Scalkee. I don't even know. Raj Scalkee. Yeah. Great lead singer of the metal band Concord.
I don't
What's up, everybody? We're Concord.
I don't
And this is our opening song, Blue Box.
Man, that Raj Scalkee is one hell of a lead singer. All right, guys, so that'll wrap it up for our little getting to know your engineers. And Scalkee, thanks for hanging out with us.
I
We're
thank
gonna
you
get
for
to
having me.
Bro. Welcome to the Railroads
came a
Rock
long
Show.
way, bro.
Hey, why don't you show everybody your shirt?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can go to the merch store and get a shirt like that. You can get a hoodie like that. Railroads Rock. And you know where to find it. Link is in the description. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to do some virtual rail fanning on some of the stuff that I love, this guy loves, and this guy's modeling a little bit of 90s Santa Fe. So
Currently
we'll be
building a layout. Guys.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you can follow him at I Don't Care. And you can follow me at Railroads. Oh, my
J
God.
_Marescalco.
Here it comes. Here it comes. No, really. You can follow me at Railroads and Rock and Roll, on TikToks or
Timmy,
because you follow the TikTok page. We have a TikTok page.
Yes, we do.
Railroads Rock Show is
Timmy,
actually
when
how you find us.
just
And
put
then
it in the description.
Railroads
You
and
added
Rock
it.
and Roll on Instagram, or you can follow Mr. Evan G.
At Michigan Subdivision.
I don't even know if Timmy will edit this, really.
No, I'm not going to edit it at all.
Yeah, he might not.
No, I don't want to edit it at all.
Right.
I'll just put it all in there.
It's
Why
gonna
don't you
be
say it again?
It's going to be a mess. Yeah.
I'm stoked about it.
I am too.
Yeah, wanted to be a shit show. No, Marescalco. Say it on air.
J _Marescalco.
How you spell that?
MARESCALCO.
Yeah, not everybody's Italian, dude.
You're right.
I'm not Italian.
I know.
You'd say that, I'd be like, what?
What?
You and Evan.
Until the next time, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with some virtual rail fanning. Merry holidays and happy Christmas. And just remember that the most important signal you get,
It's going to be your next one.
rock and roll.